Well, I have been out traveling and am back now and excited to be uh, getting back into the normal rhythms of life, including uh, the Substack podcast here. And we've been talking a lot about children and disciplining children and the vision to have while we're disciplining children. And now I want to talk about the importance of motherhood and fatherhood and how the Bible puts together the importance of motherhood and fatherhood. I think we all intuitively know that having a mom and what a mom brings to a situation and having a dad and what a dad brings to raising children are both important. They're different but important and necessary. Uh, and that if it we're in a situation where there isn't a mom able to be the mother and dad able to be the father, that we need for God to provide those things that need to be provided. Well, but I want to talk about what the Bible talks about those two roles as being, because I think we tend to just go on intuition and sort of cultural tradition, many of which are good. Not that the cultural traditions are a problem, but there are some things that we miss out on that the Bible talks about mothers do and fathers do that are really important. Now, to start off, though, uh, sometimes we uh, miss some of the really, really important things that I'm going to start by talking about motherhood, and we'll talk about fatherhood next. Proverbs 1:8. Solomon starts off by saying, "My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother." Right. So even when Solomon goes to give the wisdom to rule that Proverbs is laying out, one of the things that's really important, I think, to notice is that Solomon doesn't separate his fatherhood advice out from the mother of his children. Right? He says that your mother is a part of all of this wisdom that I'm bringing, and a big part of that is because we know from Song of Solomon, we know from a number of places that the way one of the central ways that Solomon became as wise of a father as he was, as wise of a king as he was through his queen. Right? Uh, he learned wisdom in pursuing his queen, the Shulamite, which is just the feminine version of Solomon. So it's sort of Mrs. Solomon is what Shulamite means. And in the pursuit of his wife, he became wise. And in the pursuit of the mother of his children, learning and understanding the mother of his children, he became a good father. So he's prepared to give the wisdom as a father because he is connected to and raising these children with the mother of his children. Right? So Proverbs 1:8, my son, hear the instruction of your father and do not forsake the law of your mother. And then, so that's at the beginning of the proverb. And then the end of the proverb, Proverb 31, is the accounting of Lemuel's mother's wisdom. What, my son, she says, and what son of my womb, and what son of my vows, and then she lays out how to be a wise king. What does a wise king look like? And how does a wise uh, how does a wise king understand the wisdom of his mother, understand the importance of his queen, understand all sorts of things? And that his mother teaches him really, really important aspects of being a king. I we uh, an important way to think of it is your children are being raised in a university, and their mother is that university. Their mother is a universe unto herself. Or universe means it's one body of knowledge, or one body of existence, all held together. And it coalesces together into a single unit. It's not just a bunch of different things that happen to be in the same place. It becomes a universe. It's held together as an integrated whole, um, by the knowledge of God. Well, there's a real sense in which the integrating uh, the thing that turns the world into a universe for a small child, the thing that is the whole universe, that is the integrating force of the universe, is their mother. The way everything relates to their mother as they grow is a is what turns a bunch of random things into a universe, and then your mother is a microcosm of reality as well. And so they're born into mom university, and that mom university lasts throughout their whole young life, with the goal that they are eventually launched into the world as wise people that can take the understanding with them out, and then turn the world that they find into. We've talked a lot about transforming the world into a garden. Well, their mother is the first garden that they get to know well. And then that garden that they know in their mother becomes the model for the gardening the rest of their life. Um, and there's a lot of places that I'm getting this. The Song of Solomon is a centrally important book for understanding the nature of men and women, and then the nature of women as women as gardens, and then the women as integrating forces, women as integrated microcosms that then put on display what an integrated wise life looks like for their children, and raise their children up in the university of their presence. They're taught how to live, taught how to see, taught how relationships work, taught how the world works by their mother. It's so centrally important that Paul, when he wants to talk about how important the church is, he says the Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all, right? A mother is the door through which we come into the world. A mother is then also the first integrating force, the first integrated microcosm of reality that we meet. And the church is another one, right? We grow up into a relationship with the church. That the church brings us brings us into the life of the Lord. But we have this all this very, very important first relationship with their mother that children have, and then throughout their lives, she remains a university. Now they grow up to other universities, but it is the first one that they go through. Uh, and this is another reason that when Paul starts to talk about his own pastoral ministry, and he wants to talk about how much he cares about the people in Thessalonica, he says, "We were gentle among you just the same way that a mother nurses her children. We affectionately loved you. We uh, we we were willing to have imparted to you not just the gospel of God, but also our very own souls, our very own selves, because we loved you so much, because you were so dear to us." Right? That when he wants to talk about a self-giving love, starts talking about moms, right? And that he says, we didn't want to just give you knowledge. We wanted to give you knowledge in the in the package of giving you ourselves. And there's so much about motherhood that changes a young woman. Their body changes, the way that they see the world changes, the way that if you study brain science, even the way her brain is organized changes when she has a child, right? So you've got this deep change. Well, that's all uh, intended by God. That's all part of the way God built the world. Because when Jesus was going towards glory, he gave himself away And that giving of himself led to him receiving back himself in a glorified version. And in the same sort of way, when a woman gives herself in bringing a child into the world, gives herself in motherhood, gives herself gives herself away in all of these moments, she is heading towards glory. There's a self-giving that leads to a receiving back from God in a glorious form. And that really is the shape of motherhood. That is also the first and primary lesson that children learn in Mom University. They receive the gospel of the good news of the death and resurrection of Jesus in the form of their mom, right? Not just giving knowledge to them, but giving herself, right? Paul says that's what ministering to people looks like. That's what being a good leader in the church, which is the mother of us all, because he has looked at moms and seen the way that their life is mirroring the self-giving life of Christ, right? Is a type of the self-giving life of Christ, or is an allegory or an image, a metaphor of the self-giving life of Christ. No, Jesus gave himself completely on the cross, right? And he received back his life in the resurrection, um, confirmed as king, but also now the name which is above every names. Well, when and so one of the things that is the job of a husband and of a dad and of eventually children, we'll see, is to um, be the primary voices in the life of a child that glorify their mother, right? To be the primary voice that lifts up and exalts their mother. So that's why Solomon, he says, listen to my words and don't forget the law of your mother, right? He upholds the law of the mother of his children to his children, um, so that they will see through their mom to Christ and understand that their mom's self-giving, the way their mom has lived her life giving herself, is to be glorified, right? That God, that's the kind of world that God built up. So we'll talk more about Mom University. We'll look through Proverbs 31, um, and talk about a mother's authority and why it's a blessing to a child to have a mother that picks up the authority that God gives her and wears it comfortably. That's a huge blessing, and is one of the most important things in giving your children confidence as they go out into the world. But just to start things off, knowing that a mother is a university in and of herself is a huge blessing to a child, and is something that hopefully moms can take with them, so then they can feel very uh, uh, empowered by the Lord, or given the authority by the Lord to teach their children how the world works, right? To teach their children how people work, how the world works, and what kind of God that they are growing up into a relationship with. So, talking about moms and dads, and what a blessing it is to have them and be them. So, we'll be back again tomorrow.